Ooh, what is up, guys? I am Indy, or for you iRacers, since they don't have gamer takes, David. And the first time I tried to do this commentary, I talked for 28 minutes, so we're going to try to cut that down. Sorry if things are a little bit rushed. I made some notes so I wouldn't get off track and ramble so much. But this is just going to be a little video about any advice that I have now that I peaked as a driver, or I hit my own peak. Hopefully not, I peaked as in skill level. So I hit my peak as I won a money race. I consider big money race. I won a VLR race and a broadcasted race. Those are three things I always really wanted to do, and now I did them all. The VLR race was just a fixed one at a new track, so I don't necessarily hold that as high as I would a different VLR one. But anywho, this is just, well, first of all, I am going to start uploading, I do want to start uploading some regular iRacing content. In my last video I said I couldn't record iRacing without lag. Well, that changed because I threw a ridiculous amount of money into some new PC parts that hopefully are arriving tomorrow, and we can start this ship of nice, lovely, low effort content that I can bring. Things would include any Friday night, dirt night, broadcast races that I can attend. Right now I can't attend all of them because of bowling. But VLR races, sprints, maybe late model and modifieds. We're still figuring that out a little bit. But definitely sprint cars. And possibly the quote-unquote pro series now that they're fucking bringing to dirt for some reason. So if any of those three things interest you, make sure you hit that subscribe button. I'll have a lot of good content coming from that. And of course, just any really good races I have in official, and just an official or hosted race, I mean actually good races, not just some shitty race where I'm just, running behind the car the whole time or running out front the whole time. Maybe try some back row challenge type stuff. One thing I thought might be fun would be just do like a baseline setup and just run a top split with the baseline setup and see how well that goes. Because one thing I also was going to do, and I would have if it was like a month ago before I joined Team VLR, was, just show everybody my setups, just add a bonus to the channel. But now that I'm part of a team and, I might be using a teammate setup or going off the team's base setup, I just don't want to upset anybody by showing anyone that. So I will make a setup video on how I usually set up my own car, okay? And it'll be very basic because a lot of setup videos, they're like, oh, you want to do this to make the car roll, and that's going to have this, do this, and I'm just like, what? I don't know what any of that shit means. What you'll learn from my setup video, you'll come away thinking, how the hell is this retard so fast, Because I don't know half the shit it does, but I'll use very simple turns. This loosens it, this tightens it, this loosens it, just like that, alright? So if you want some damn good setup advice, watch for that video. I can make that. I don't need my computer parts to make that one. I'll do that 2 or 3 days whenever after this is uploaded. Anywho, let's get into it. So you're a new driver. You're in the rookie series. I'm gonna just give advice for every level of driver that I think there is. I usually go off 3 tiers. Tier 1 is a driver that can, if they're in the race, they have a chance to win. They're gonna qualify up front, warm up front. They're gonna have a chance to win. A tier 2 driver is just somebody who, is always in the top 5. If there's like a late restart or something, they can cause you some havoc, so they can win races too, but not necessarily going to dominate all the time like a tier 1 driver can. Then tier 3 driver is just a driver, they usually they're there all the time in the top split, and they usually have 1 maybe 2 tracks where they're really good at, but then they just don't quite have the speed on some other tracks. But that's just a tier 3 driver, who just kind of battles top 5 for consistently. So you got that. Anyway, rookie drivers, don't really know what to tell you since the new street stock update. It's been so long also since I've ran really street stocks. I've only ran 2 with the new update. But I would really just, learn the ins and outs of iRacing, on the website or the UI, the new beta UI, whatever one you use. Um, just kind of get yourself familiar with all that shit. Tragan paints. You want to look good in your car. You want to feel swaggy. Have a little bit of swagger, and so download Tragan paints and run that. And you can also see all the cool. It's a lot funner racing against a car that looks like Dale Earnhardt, besides like some piece of junk white and orange car, with the crappy designs that iRacing has. So that's just one thing I like to do. It might add a little more flavor to new people with service. Run Tragan paints. Just be safe. Just try to get your D license as soon as you can. That's all rookie is. You got legend cars too. I never ran those much. Because when I was coming up, they didn't have a regular officials, only week 13s. But you're just trying to get your D class. Once you do your D class, you get limited late models and 305 sprint cars. For some ungodly fucking reason, they both run at the same time. So you kind of got to choose. If you know you're going to be a late model modified person, run the limited late models. If you know you're going to be more of an open wheel for any wingless midgets and shit, I guess run the 305 series. But these two series are just a very basic introduction onto how each of those cars will handle, and in that you're just trying to, just make laps and like get used to that car's handling, because the next step of each of them will be a little bit more extreme. Most of the time, it's been better lately with the track conditions for the 305s at least. It's not such a follow the leader anymore. I mean, it still is, but there's kind of a little bit more multi-groove racing. But most of the time, fastest lines just on the inside. Work on that. You usually don't have to lift much, if at all, in those cars. But just don't like run. Don't worry about your iRating or anything right now. Just you're still all safety rigging. You're just trying to get to C class. C class, everything opens up a ton more in this game. So yeah, don't get stuck in D class. Then once you get C class, don't get stuck in the D cars. Don't be like, well, I can't drive, a modified now, so I'm gonna go back and run limited late models. No, that's only gonna slow you down. All right, It took me about 6 months. I think I started in late June, early July on iRacing. It took me about 6 months to get where I felt I was then, a tier 1 driver. And or at least I consider myself a tier 1 driver. I don't know, other people might not. But, the longer you dick around with those slower cars before trying to learn the faster ones, it's just the longer it's going to take for you to, get to a decent competitive speed, But I mean, if you can't handle the fucking car at all, don't go out and just run official races and shit. So anywho, C class. C class, you get so many new cars, and this is where you're going to start learning setups a little bit too, because. Well, I'm sorry, the fixed street stock series they have. But you got that, you got modifieds, pro late models, wingless sprints 360s, I believe are C class. And then you get the win 360s and the midgets now. So you can get all those cars now. You can run a lot more stuff. And like I said, for this you will learn how to race more. There will be hopefully a lot more multi-groove racing in all of these cars. It will present more side-by-side racing than 305 or a limited any D class or even rookie series racing will have. It should have more better racing. So this is where you will learn how to actually race, how to race clean, hopefully, with 1 or 2, even more 3 or 4 drivers if need be, And this is where you'll have numbers for where multiple splits will happen, and you can start to look at your iRating. It's really. Like I said, that's why I said don't really worry about iRating yet until you know you have the speed to race with, like the first or second split. You don't want to, like that's why I also said don't run a lot of D-class stuff. Because if you build up your iRacing so much running D class stuff because you're like, oh yeah, I figured that out. It's fun. But then you come to C class, you're gonna feel a lot slower because you're in a split where you shouldn't be. You know, that's what happened to me. Once I hit top split, I remember for like the 360 sprint cars, I was always one of the slowest 5 cars. You know, and then I go back down to second split, and it was like, whoa, I'm challenging for a win. You know, I didn't even know really what the fuck splits were at the time. So I was just like, oh man, what the hell is wrong with my setup now? You know, after I was in a top split race, but really, you know, it was, yeah, because I was in a top split race, and everyone else was faster. You know, that's what I jumped over to running a lot of hosted stuff. I was looking at how many races I raced a week in the schedule, usually between around 30 to 35. But I was looking back then, I only ran like 10 because I used to run so much hosted stuff because the strength of fields in hosted are a little bit lower than official, I think. I don't know the numbers, but they're just always slower. Like I could run top 5 in most hosted races, and so that's why I was running a lot of that. You know, still learning how to set up the car a little bit more. Still, when you're setting up the car, you're strictly going for, like, I'll talk about this more in my setup video. But I believe it's about 85 to 90% is handling and 10 to 15% is the actual speed. If you can get a good handling race car, you should be, I mean, a good handling race car, and you're running the right line. Like I said, a lot of the biggest reason why people are slow on dirt is because they're running the wrong line. It's not because of setups. A fixed setup guy won't tell you that, but that's how it is. You know, that's why I said C class. You learn how to race. You learn how to run multiple grooves. There'll be different grooves than just the inside in the D license class cars, you know. But I lost my train of thought. So I went into hosted races a lot. That's what I was saying. And then once I was like consistently finishing like top 1 or 2 in hosted races, then I jumped back into more official. And because I learned more in the hosted races, I was able to contend then. A lot better in official races in the top split. You know, before I was, bottom 5 all the time. You know, one of the slowest cars. So you can always do that if you're worried about your iRacing, I guess, or you just want to contend for a victory or whatnot. Hosted races offer less strength of field. Don't have to worry about your safety rating or whatever. But like I said, just get a lot of experience out on the track. Never avoid a race. Never be like, don't be like, oh well, only 14 registered, I don't want to go in that because then I'll be top split and I'll be slow. No, still go in that race, even if you lose iRacing, whatever. It's experience, you know? And don't make up stupid excuses, on why people are better. That's the other thing. I think a lot of people come into this game, I don't know how much experience they've had running all their multiplayer racing games, but they feel like they have the talent to run top 5. They just you kind of have that ego. Like you deserve to run fast. Don't make excuses on why you're not running fast. Like I said, most of it's all experience. I could have a pro player set up in a asphalt, on an asphalt track, and I could run laps, and I'll still be a second off. Because I don't have the experience to how to run the race, how to run fast in those cars, You still got experience in these cars. It's not as much setup as some people make it out to be. So that's C class. In B class, all you're really doing, you get the 410s, super models, 410 wingless, I guess. But you're just trying to, this is where if you really want to, if you want to try to make the top split for like a broadcast race or something, start building iRacing for that. But you really got to learn to be faster. This is, remember I said setup is 90% handling. This is where you want to look for, you're going to have to look for like the extra 10 to 15% in speed for the setups, which can be completely different things. I'll get into that in my setup video, but it's not just one thing or something, because I've ran a setup that's been completely different from a teammate, and we've been damn near the same speed. That's where, that 10 to 15% of speed in the setup can be way different on different levels. But like I said, once you're running, you don't need that until, like I said, you're running even in a top split. If you have a good handle in race car, a good handle in setup, you should be able to contend top 5 in a race. If you're not doing that, don't worry about, trying to get speed. You're probably not running the right line or something, It's one thing I always tried to do with my setups too was, make it better in a line that less people run, then you could pass people easier. There's no point in being fast on the outside if everyone else is going to run the outside, then you're not going to be able to pass anybody. So like I said, it all comes down to a lot of experience. Like I said, it took me 6 months to get to where I am now. And I don't know. It's I'm like usually I don't know where I am now, but top 10, 15 in iRacing, which surprises the hell out of me. I think there should be more fast drivers. I think there's a lot better drivers than me on the service, but they just might not run as much. iRacing is simply just 60% participation, 40% skill. Because a driver that has like 100 races that finishes second will have more iRacing, a higher iRacing than a driver that ran 50 races and won them all. But anyway, that was just. I'll do a setup video. That's just my advice. I hope it was helpful to some people. But yeah, I'll be uploading things that when I was coming up through the ranks that I wish someone out there would have uploaded. Things that races that I couldn't make that I'd want to see. So hopefully it's something interesting in that. If you like this video, yeah, like, comment, subscribe, whatever the fuck. Watch out for that setup video I'll make. As always.